This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So in the previous session, we have discussed about the various ways to write the Apex programming code and the various ways to execute your Apex program. So multiple ways we have discussed, and there we have identified a way called as execute anonymous window. So with the help of this execute anonymous window, how to write the code, how can we execute the code, how to compile, how to see the results we have discussed in the last session. Now, so let's continue with the sessions with some practical examples. So in the last session also we have discussed about a practical example, how to write the code in the execute anonymous window and how can we see the results in the debug log file we have discussed. Now, let's take some small programs and how to implement, we'll see practically one by one. So from today onwards, we have purely entered into the programming part. We'll see each and every fundamental basic in detail. Also, I will give the notes. Okay, no need to worry about that. Even though you are from a non-technical background, even though you are completely new to the programming, so we'll see each and every fundamental basic in detail. We'll have some practical examples also. So let's see a small program. Take a small use case. Write an Apex program to print the welcome message on the debug log file. So write an Apex program to print the welcome message on the debug log file. My requirement is what? I want to print simply a message. What is that? Welcome to Apex programming, anything, whatever. I want to print some message where I want to print on the debug log file. So why? Because is that already you know that whenever we are executing any Apex programming code, the result will be getting visible inside the debug log file. So upon executing your Apex programming code, so whatever the code we have executed and how many lines of code we have executed, how much bytes of memory it has occupied, how many SOQL queries you have used to execute that, how many SOSL queries you have used, and how many email notifications you have used, how many DML statements you have performed, how many web services you have invoked, everything will be tracking by Salesforce inside the debug log file. So debug log file is the file which will be representing your entire application execution history. Your program, it may be a small program also, it may be a lengthy complex application also which you have built. So now in order to execute that functionality, so whatever the business logic that you are written, so that business logic's result will be placing inside the debug log file. So we don't have any command prompt concept in Salesforce because Salesforce is not on-premise, it is purely on demand. So everything can be accessible through the browser itself. So we are writing the code through the browser, we are compiling the code, we are executing the code, we are observing the result, everything through the browser only. So that in order to see that result also, we are going to be using this browser, and through the browser we can able to open that debug log file, and in the debug log file we can see the result. Now, so I want to write some message inside the debug log file. How can we write the message? That already we have discussed in the previous session. Whenever if you want to print some message inside the debug log file, then we have to use a statement called as system.debug statement. We have to use system.debug statement. System is a class, debug is a method. Okay, system is a class, a debug is a method. In that method we have to specify that message which you would like to print. So this debug method is going to be printing the message, whatever the message that you have specified. Message is what? A string. It contains some characters, so that already you know each and every character we have to enclose in the single quotation here. The same fundamental principle already we have discussed. So whatever the message you would like to print, specify that message by enclosing inside that single code and then pass that message to the debug method, which is going to printing that message inside the debug log file. Debug method is having the capability to write some message into the debug log file. So I want to print some message so that I'm going to indicate this. So now in this case, I would like to print the message so that I'm writing the message by using system.debug statement. System.debug. Inside that, we have to specify the message like as some welcome to Apex program. Welcome to Apex program. This is the message. That's it. Over. Simple one line of code. We can write this code inside the execute anonymous window and execute that code, observe the result inside the debug log file. That's it. Simple concept. Then let me show you that entire process again. Already I have shown you this process in the last session. Let me show you one more time so that we can understand this. Now, so first of all, what needs to be done? We have to go to the execute anonymous window. Okay. Now, I will give you the step-by-step implementation so that we can do the practice very easy. Now, go to the execute anonymous window. Go to the execute anonymous window. And then as a step 2, write the required code inside the editor. Whatever the code that you want, you can write this code inside the editor. Next. As a step 3, what needs to be done? So when you come down at the right bottom corner, you will be having a small checkbox called as open log checkbox. Select the checkbox open log. So now here, only for one time we can able to select this checkbox. Every time it will be selecting automatically. We no need to select this checkbox in every program. Just we can select only once. That is sufficient. Next. Step 4. Click on the button. Which button? Execute button or execute highlighted. You know what is the difference between execute button and execute highlighted button? Execute button will be executing the whole code which you have written inside that execute anonymous window. Execute highlighted button will execute only the selected lines of code. Because I have, for example, I have written some 100 lines of code inside this execute anonymous window. If you want to execute all the 100 lines of code, then simply click on execute button. Suppose if you want to execute only a few 10 lines of code, then just to select those lines of code by using the mouse pointer, click on execute highlighted. It will execute only those selected lines of code. That's it. Okay. Next, step 4, 5. Go to the developer console to see the result. Go to the developer console and select the checkbox debug only. Debug only. And then as a step 6, view the result. View the result. We can see the result of that program also. These are the 6 simple steps, nothing else. Very, very easy. No need to go to the command prompt. No need to install anything into a local system. Just with the help of the browser, we can able to do all the operations. We can write, we can compile, we can execute, we can see the results. Now, let me show you the practical part, step-by-step approach. So first of all, let's go to the execute anonymous window.
And explain third point. Your audio was missing.
Okay. So now as a step 3, select the checkbox open log. So now what is the use of this open log checkbox is, whenever I'm going to be executing any program, the application result will be visible inside that log file. That means a debug log file. So when you go to the developer console, then we have to select the debug log file and we have to open it manually. But I don't want to open manually. I want to inform to Salesforce, please open that log file for me so I can see the result. That's what here, select the checkbox open log. So whenever we are selecting this open log checkbox, upon executing your application program, then once the log file has been generated, it will open that log file automatically by default, and we can see the result directly. Okay. Now, so now let's go to your execute anonymous window. Go to your Salesforce instance. Go to the developer console. To open this developer console editor, so now how can we open this execute anonymous window? I have showed you two ways. One is just expand this debug menu, click on open execute anonymous window. Okay, just click on debug menu, click on open execute anonymous window. This is one way. Or else from here we have a shortcut. What is that? Control E. Use that Control E, the execute anonymous window will be getting open for you. So now expand this one, expand this editor. That means maximize this editor here by using the maximize button. Now, so now let's see. You write that code. So what is the code you want to write to execute to see the result? So as part of my program, I want to write the code to display some message on my debug log file. So I'm writing this message system.debug. System.debug. So now it is providing the IntelliSense feature field. Okay, it is providing IntelliSense. So now how they have implemented IntelliSense because of that reflection feature. Like for example, general scenario. So I want to see my face. Basically, I can't see my face by itself. I can't see my face by itself. I can't see my face. So how to see your face, how you are looking like? So for that one, we have to go to a mirror. We have to stay in front of the mirror. What the mirror will do? Mirror is going to be providing you reflection. Okay, mirror will display your reflection. That means it is indicating how you look like. So we can see our face inside the mirror because mirror is having the feature of reflection. Like the similar way in programming languages, they have a feature called as reflection. When you go to Java, the people who are aware of Java or .NET programming, those people might be having some idea on reflection feature. Reflection is a feature which is used to expose the metadata, Metadata means what? Inside the system class, what methods are available, everything we can able to expose, we can collect that information. So that here they have used that reflection feature internally, okay, in the background. Through the reflection feature, we are able to display these messages here, everything. Now I want to print the message here. What is that message? Welcome to Apex Programming. Welcome to Apex Program. So this is a message which I would like to print. So just use that system.debug method and then write the code. Specify the message which you would like to print on your debug log file. So once the message has been getting specified, then execute this code. How can we execute that code? When you go to that bottom right corner, you will be having a small checkbox called as open log checkbox. Okay, select this open log checkbox. What is the use of this checkbox is generally if I'm executing this button code by using this execute button, simply it will execute, but it won't open the log file. We have to open the log file manually here. But I don't want to do that additional step. I want to inform to Salesforce, please open that log file automatically. For that one here, I'm selecting this checkbox open log. Select the checkbox open log and then click on execute button. So this execute button will be executing the whole code, whatever we have inside your Apex, inside this editor. Suppose if you want to execute only some selected lines of code, then click on this button, execute highlighted. Okay, you know this concept. Now click on execute. So once you click on execute, a small window has been pop up and it has sent the response over here. Now Let's go to the developer console. In this developer console, we can see the application execution history. This is the application execution history. Let me explain that here. It is indicating that which user has executed this piece of code. This is the user training.batch332@cs.com on so and so date and so time based on the time zone. This is the user has executed the code. So now the code execution has been started. Okay, the code execution has been started. Code unit has started. That means what? Where is that code? Code is available in the execute anonymous window here. In order to execute that code, whatever the required components are available, the components will be getting loaded. So it is going to be allocating the required amount of memory in order to execute that statements. So it is executing that statements over here. Okay, it is executing that statement. Where is that statement? That is in line number 1. Okay, that is in line number 1. So it is executing that statement here. So now it is to print that result. It is going to be allocating the required amount of memory over here. This is the message has been getting printed. This is a message has been getting printed here. So now in this case, to print this message here, how much memory it has allocated? 28 bytes of memory over here. Why? Because here we are having some 28 characters are available inside this code. It is going to be allocating some 28 bytes of memory. And then upon executing this code, if you have used any DML statement, how many SQL queries you have used? How many SOSL queries you have used? How many DML statements you have used? How much CPU cycle time you have used? How much heap memory you have used? How many integrations you have invoked? How many email notifications you have sent? Everything will be tracking the Salesforce. And then at the end, it is indicating that code unit finished. Nothing but execute anonymous window will be getting finished that code execution. So execution has been completed. This is the log file. That means what it is indicating, this log file is going to be indicating the complete program execution history. This is the execution history is available inside this debug log file. So debug log file contains the whole execution history along with the result also. But I don't want to see this entire result. Sorry, I don't want to see this entire history because I don't want this history. I want to simply see result. That's it. So in this case, just to select this checkbox over. Just to select the checkbox, okay, debug only. Select the checkbox, debug only. Whenever I'm selecting this debug only checkbox, it will display only the debug only statements. What are the system.debug statements are available? Only those statements will be getting visible to you. Remaining statements will not be visible to you over here. Now, so in this case, whenever if you want to execute that piece of code, okay, these are the various steps you have to follow over here. These are the simple steps you have to follow. From now onwards, for every program, we are following the same steps here. No change at all. Okay. So this is one program which you have executed. Now, next one. So write that one more program. Take a use case. Now, let's take one more use case here. Write an Apex program to define two variables and print the values on the log file. Okay. So now write an Apex program to define two variables and print the values on the log file. So I want to define two simple variables. One is an integer variable, second one is a string variable, and then in that variables, whatever the value it has stored by default, I want to print. Okay, I want to print. How can we do that here? Now let me show you practically in this case. You know, okay, you know how to define the variables, you know that. For example, I'm defining a variable here. Integer, some customer code. I'm defining a variable with the name customer code. String, customer name. Two variables we have defined. One is of type integer, second one is of type string. So do we have assigned any value for these variables? No, we haven't assigned any value for these variables as of now. So you know that if I'm not assigning any value to my variable, then what is the default value will be storing by Salesforce? Null. You know that concept. Okay, if the user did not assign any value for the variable, then by default Apex compiler will assign the value for this variable as null. Null value will be getting assigned. So now in this case, you can raise a question, sir, what is the guarantee to me that it is storing the value null? Maybe for integer, it may be storing the value 0 also, I don't know. Then what is the guarantee here? How can we show the proof? Now let's see here. Now, in this case, how can we see the result here? Simply print this value onto your debug log file. Whatever the value is available inside the variable, simply print this value on the debug log file, then you can see what value has been stored by Salesforce. So practically we can see that. How can we print this value? By using system.debug statement. System.debug. What value you want to print? I want to print its customer code value. So that simply define that, specify the variable name, customer code. So in this customer code variable, whatever the value is there, that value will be printing onto your debug log file. That's it, simple concept. Now, I want to print the customer code also. So the customer name. I'm indicating the customer name. So system.debug of customer name. So I want to print the customer name value also. That means inside my customer code variable, whatever the value is there, I want to print on my debug log file. In my customer name variable, whatever the value is there, I want to print. So do we isn't any value for this one? No. What is the value as a name by Salesforce? None. So that here it will be printing the value as none. Now let me execute this code. Okay, copy that code, paste inside my debug log file. We execute anonymous window. I'm placing this code inside this execute anonymous window. Now let's execute this piece of code. Now click on execute. Go back to the developer console. See the result here. Select the debug only checkbox. It will be printing the result here. This is null. This is null. So customer code is null. Customer name is also null. Simply it is printing the value null and null. So then in this case, so now as a developer, I know that because first of all I'm printing customer code, next I'm printing the customer name. So this first null is for customer code, second null is for customer name. Then in this case, generally the common people, how those people will aware of what is this first null value, what is this first second null value, which one is customer code, which one is customer name, how the people can understand. But that one, what I want to do is, I want to print this value along with some message also. I want to print this value along with some message also. Okay, now, in this case here, how can we print the value along with some message over here? Then what we can do? In this case, I want to use this system.debug. So before this customer code value, I want to print some message over here. Message means some string. So I want to indicate that. Now, customer code is I want to print, and then the customer code value. Customer code value. Customer code. So in this case, how can we combine both over here? Customer code. This is the customer code. This is the string, and this is an integer value. How can we combine? How can we concatenate by using plus symbol? Okay, plus symbol. Now, so why? Because is, let me give you one small scenario. For example, I'm having the values 100 and then 600. In between these two, I'm specifying plus symbol. What it will do? What is the result now? 100 plus 600. It will be giving the result as 7. Because so now plus symbol is for addition. So in this case, these two are numerical. So whenever I'm passing both the numerical values, it will do the addition. It will be giving that result to you. Suppose, for example, I'm indicating like this: welcome plus 3,400. What is the result now? I'm using plus symbol, addition symbol between two values. One value is string, second value is numerical. What will happen in this case? In this case, the plus symbol is going to be working like as a concatenation. What it will do? Welcome 3,400. This is the value it will return. See, observe the scenario here. So now operator is same, but the behaviors are different. Depends on what? Depends on this operands. Here both are numerical, so it is performing addition. Here one is a string, so automatically it will do the concatenation over here. Okay, this is the internal concept of plus symbol. Generally, when you go to the other programming languages, so now for the addition they're using plus symbol, for the concatenation they will use a ampersand. But in Salesforce, for the addition, for the concatenation, we are using same plus symbol here. Plus symbol is using for addition and plus concatenation also. Okay. For both the operations, we are using that same plus symbol over here. Now, in this case, for example, you can raise one more question. Sir, for example, I'm indicating like as 100 plus, okay, hello. What it will do? Again, same, because if any one of this value is of type, okay, if any one of this value is of type, so string, it will do that concatenation here, 100, hello. Suppose if I'm giving two string values, like some hello plus welcome, it is indicating that hello, welcome. Okay, so whenever I'm using the plus symbol, if any one of this value is of type string, simply it will do the concatenation automatically by default here. This is the internal concept of, okay, plus symbol. That means addition operator. So now here this is what? This is a string because this has been enclosed in that single quote here. So this is a string value. This is what? Numerical. I'm using plus symbol. What it will do? Concatenation. It will display the message like as customer code is the value null. Like the similar way we can print the customer name also. System.debug. Like as customer name is, I want to print this one. Customer. So I want to print both the values over here. Whatever the customer code is available, whatever the customer name value is available, I want to print both the values over here. Okay. So now here in this case, let's see how can we execute this piece of code. Now, let me go to that editor. I'm going to be printing this statement. System.debug. Now, I'm indicating that customer code is, I want to print that. Customer code. I want to print the customer name. System.debug. Customer name is customer. So whatever the value is available inside these variables, I'm printing along with some message. Okay, I'm printing along with some message. Now, here I'm giving some line break here. I'm giving a line break. System.debug, I'm giving a line break here so that we can understand it. We can differentiate that code. Now, let's execute this piece of code. Go to the developer console. Select the debug only checkbox and then see the result. Now we are indicating that Initially, what happened? It is going to be indicating that. So the for customer code is null, customer name also null. So here we are printing that result. Customer code value is null, customer name value is null. That means what? If the user did not assign any value for the variable, then by default Salesforce is storing the value as null. It may be numerical also. It may be string also. By default, it will store the default value as null. So this is the internal concept over here. Now let's see here. Now, so this is the way we are going to be writing the piece of code. We can execute it and we can see the results inside this. Now, so this is the way we are going to be writing some statements also inside this. Next, write one more program over here. Next one. Take one more use case. Write an Apex program to define the two integer variables. To define the two integer variables and assign the values. And perform all the mathematical operations. So I want to define two integer variables. And then on that variables I want to perform some operations. What is that operations you want to do? Mathematical operations. Mathematical operations in the sense addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then modulus. That means remainder. These are the various operations I want to perform and I want to see the result. How to do that? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, let's go to your execute anonymous window. Before that, let me place this code. So now what I need to do here? First of all, we have to define two variables because if you want to perform some operation, we need some values, right? So where is those values? We have to store inside a variable. So I'm defining the variable. Integer first number. This is one variable I'm defining. And then to store the second number, we are using one more variable with the name second number. We can give any name like as X, Y, Z, like that we can give. But in the real time, those single character names cannot be acceptable. Please give a proper meaningful name for each and every variable. Because by looking into the variable name itself, you should be able to understand what is the purpose of this variable. What is the type of the variable we should be able to understand. So that here, don't define any variable with the name like as X, Y, Z, like that. Don't give single characters. Please give some proper meaningful names. So I'm giving that to store the first value, we are using that variable with the name first number. To store the second value, I'm defining a variable with the name second number. To store the result, I'm using this result variable. Okay. Three variables I have defined here. First one is to store the first number value. Second one is to store the second value. Result variable is used to store the result here. Now, next. So what we need to do to perform the operations, we have to assign some value, right? Because if I'm performing the operation on these values, in these values, what is the values there? In these variables, default value is null. Okay, in these variables, the default value is null. So we can't do any other operations on that. If I'm performing the operations on null values, again the result is also null. So that here I want to assign some value for this variables. How I'm assigning that? First number equals to some 1000. Second number equals to some 50. I'm assigning some values for these variables. So whatever the variables are there, for these variables, I'm assigning some values. For the first number variable, I'm assigning the value 1000. For the second number variable, I'm assigning the value 50. Once the values have been assigned, then we can perform the operation. So what is the first operation? Addition. So that I'm indicating result equals to first number plus second number. First number plus second number. So what are the two numerical values are available? So now I'm collecting this first number variable and then second number variable. What it will do, whatever the value is available, this value will be getting collected over here, and then whatever the value is available here, this will be collected there. That means 50. So it will perform the operations on this. Okay, 1000 plus 50. So 1050. This value will be storing inside this variable result. So I want to print that result over here. Okay, to print that result, I'm using this statement. What is that statement? System.debug. Addition result is, I want to print that result. Addition result is simply the result. I want to print that result. So or else you can specify addition operation. Addition operation result is result. This is the operation. Next, I want to perform the subtraction. So that I'm indicating result equals to first number minus second number. I'm performing the subtraction operation. First number minus second number. So I'm indicating system.debug. Subtraction result is, I would like to print that result value. Subtraction result is, I want to print that result value. Next, multiplication. How to perform first number into second number. First number into second number. I want to perform that multiplication. So I want to show the result. System.debug. Multiplication result is result. Multiplication result is result. I want to print that result here. I want to perform the division operation. Result equals to first number by second number. So I'm performing the division operation on these two values, and then the result I want to store inside my result here. And then I want to print that. System.debug. Division result is, I want to show that result. Like the similar way, I want to perform the modulus operation. So I'm indicating that result equals to math.mod. Okay, modulus function. We have to pass the values. What are those two variables? First number, comma, second number. So whenever I'm passing these two values, nothing but first number means what? 1000. Second number means what? 50. Then it will be performing the division operation, and then it is returning that remainder value to you. That remainder value will be storing inside the result variable, and then we can able to print it. System.debug. Remainder value is, I'm going to be indicating that result. Remainder value is result. I'm indicating this result. This is how we are writing some small piece of code. Simple concept, nothing difficult. Just first of all, as a step one, define the variables first. As a step one, define the variables. as a step 2 is in the values. Because to perform the operation, we need some values, right? So that is in the values. And then as a step 3, perform the operation on that, print the result. That's it. And then on the same values, I'm performing different operation, perform the operation, display the result. Like that, you can continue to perform the operations on that, print the results on your debug log. This is how we are going to be implementing that code. Take any programming language, same steps, no change at all. Any programming language. Okay. So let me execute this piece of code. Click on execute. Request has been sent to the server. Go to the developer console. Select the debug only checkbox. And then see the results. So now it is indicating that over here results, all the results. Addition operation result is 1050 because first number is 1000, second number is 50. So whenever we are doing the addition, it is giving the result as 1050. Subtraction result is 950. Multiplication result is 50,000. 1000 into 50, 50,000. Division result is 20. And the remainder value is 0. Okay, remainder value is 0. Like that, here we can perform the operations on, okay, both the numerical values with the different operations, and then we can print the results on your debug log file also. This is how we have to write some small piece of code. We can perform the operations and we can print the results. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah, tell me.
So like as you said, one variable can store only one value, right?
Yes, right.
So result is storing the values of addition, subtraction, multiplication.
Now in this case, what I'm doing here, so now here I'm going to performing the operation, I'm storing the result, immediately I'm printing over here. Okay, immediately I'm printing. Then I'm storing one more value, I'm printing this one. That means each and every value I'm printing immediately. If you are not writing this statement, then it will display only that subtraction value. It won't display the addition result. Okay? Clear? Now, let me place this code inside our notepad. Next. If you know the basic fundamental concepts of programming, further concepts are very simple for you, nothing difficult. Just erase that phobia from your mind that development is difficult. Development is very easy, very interesting topic also. Okay, but one small thing is, one small request is you have to do the practice. Okay. Next one. Take one more small use case. For example, let me take a small use case to perform the operation.